Do video games have a relevant role in business education? That's the topic for today, and it hit me because when I was younger, I played a real-time strategy game called Company of Heroes. Now there's the third part or came out like a couple of weeks ago, and it's like my playing days are long behind me. But I thought about like what teachable moments that I had, and because I have a 6-year-old son, he just turned 6, and he starts like slowly engaging, not particularly in that world, but like he starts playing on the iPhone, and like he gets introduced to video games. Friends have a Switch console maybe, so he learns all of that. I thought, okay, is there anything good in that? And all the hours I spent basically, what did I learn that is business relevant? So, what is it? Now, on real-time strategy, it's really different because you have to make real-time decisions. You have, especially in Company of Heroes, you have to allocate resources, you have to manage your troops, and you have to make sure they interact in a team. None of the, like, if you are competing, if you're playing against other players, it's like you only have a chance if you make sure all of your units work together. And that's not much different than in business. You have to make sure that the purchasing department works actually with the HR department, works with the quality department, everybody works with the production, and you can't like leave the sales team outside of anything. I mean, they have to inform people, they have to work with each other, and they have to complement each other's strengths. And it's nothing different than in that video game. Now, in that video game, you learn the strengths of your units, you learn the points, and then you are trying to combine them in the best way in order to outmaneuver your opponent. And it's the same on the resource side. In every business, like in the business we bought, in the business we currently optimize, you have limited resources. You have limited cash, you have limited time, and you have limited people. So that means you need to allocate those resources where they make the biggest impact. In a video game, you choose like, okay, what unit can I build with the resources that I have? And is it worth waiting a bit, delaying maybe building a unit to get to a better unit, to a unit that complements the other units better? Or do I need something now, like a quick fix, that actually like plugs a hole or just helps me defend or push an attack? And it's in business, it's the same. It's like if you're buying something, like for example, we bought some welding gear and some mobile filter units, and it was the same thing. It's like we thought about like, are we going to install a new air ducting and have like fixed extractors in order to get like the welding fumes out, or do we buy mobile units that are actually connected to the welding guns that obviously are a little bit more expensive, but on the other hand they also like let us now have the flexibility to relocate welders within the premises because we are no longer confined on the welding bays that are equipped with the extractors. And it's like the same thing. And this is what I realized over today, is that there are a lot of things that you can learn in video games that have a real life relevance in business. It might not be that obvious, but when you look at it in hindsight, it's pretty clear. You see, like, it's the same thing. We have a scarcity of capital, so we have to choose where do we invest. And we choose where does the investment makes the biggest impact. And sometimes we delay investments in order to make sure we get the investment that gives us the best thing. But the last time a Rivenut gun broke, so we just bought a new one. We bought a better one because it wasn't that much more expensive, but you had to replace it right then and there. You couldn't wait and like go and do an evaluation and maybe can we get a different machine, because we had to replace it because production was threatened, because we lost redundancy. So it's like all of those things. So when you are a parent, supposedly, you look at things a bit different than when you just want to play games. Because when you want to play games, I mean, it's all about like having the fun and the community and play with other people, maybe in teams, or with other you play with other humans. You don't only have like your own units that you have to move in the as a team, but you now have to coordinate with other people. And it's like with coordination with your suppliers, for example, or your manufacturing partners. It's like you have to make sure they know where you want to go, and very often they don't, because we don't tell them. So it's like, but if you have the same goal, and in business it's basically growing together, then you have to take your supply chain partners on a journey with you. And you're going to be way more successful if they know where you are going, because then they can help you. They might even make suggestions on how to actually prevent losses, or how to like increase profitability by optimizing steps. And we talked about it, why you need to talk regularly to your suppliers, and that's one of the points. So if your kids play video games, it's not all bad. First of all, as a parent, I don't think so. I know there are like tons of studies out there that might suggest something different. Some go in this direction and some go in this direction. But if I look at myself, and that's the only thing I can really judge on, is I learned some stuff that is, in hindsight, really valuable. And it's thinking in a different way. It's also quick thinking, especially in real-time strategy. If you play versus your opponents, everything happens in parallel. There is real time. So you can't necessarily put a pause button and then think for an hour on a situation and then unpause the game and continue. But everything happens in real time, so you have to react in real time. And in business, it's not different. Things happen in parallel and they happen in real time. Some of them you can influence and some of them you can't. But you have to deal with all of them. And that's the thing. So I encourage definitely to have a look on those games, and they help me. Maybe I find the time at one point to get back into it. I'm sometimes right now I'm using YouTube and I'm watching players play, because for me it's just fun to see others play, and they spend hours and hours and hours and thousands of hours in order to get really, really good. And I really admire that. And it's the same in business. It's like you have to spend hours and hours and hours to get really good. So with that, I leave you for today, and I hope to hear you on the next episode of this vlog. Cheers, guys. Bye.